Hi, I'm Nancy. Welcome to Mindful Yoga. Today we're taking on the martial artist in terms of readiness and intentionality, with some direction to that intentionality that can change over time. And at the same time, we're working on the back line, thinking about the back line very lengthily from the back of the neck, down the back, the legs, and all the way down to the feet. And also bringing attention to this vulnerable low back that often gets some soreness and how we can bring some more stability to the spine. Let's take a seat where we can be comfortable and upright. Do a little breathing to start so that we can arrive on the mat. Bringing attention to the breath with the intention of coming into the body. Of letting the mind quiet. Feeling the breath expand in the diaphragm with the help of the muscles inside the lower ribs. Perhaps feeling the diaphragm in the back on the left, and the back on the right. Feeling the way the deep breath can bring good flow of blood to the kidneys, can relieve some of the compression among the vertebrae, making each little part of the vertebrae a little bit more mobile as we breathe. Inviting the breath up the spine as we lengthen up through the back of the neck and the crown. Allowing the breath to bring some softness to the back of the neck and those muscles down along the spine into the sacrum. The elegant poise of a martial artist embodies a state of readiness. At any moment, an attack may come. A block may be needed. A swift move required. Not knowing brings your attention fully into the present. Bringing ourselves into the present doesn't mean we lose connection with the past. It's always there. But what we add is intentionality. Each intention represents a preference for the kind of world we want. Each intention endows the present moment with direction. Two more quiet breaths. And please come to a standing position. Bring the feet just a little wider than hip width apart. And begin to pour the weight into one foot and then over into the other. Feeling the weight come down through the spine, through the sacrum, down into the heels and the balls of the feet. As you bring the weight over, wait just a moment to allow everything to soften and sink down. Meanwhile, the other side without the weight has the challenge of doing nothing, of becoming empty. The doing and the not doing. Both important intentions in life. Then a heel raises and you close the qua, the groin here, which is called qua in qigong and tai chi. Turning the belly button like a cylinder back and forth. Not using the muscles of the shoulders, just letting them swing. And choosing how much you want your swing to be, how fast you want your swing to be. Finding the right pace for this body at this moment. Perhaps feeling the slightest bit of rotation in the spine. And beginning to tap, drumming the eyes of the shoulders. Allowing yourself to feel that vibration into the skin, deeper into the muscles, the blood vessels and the nerves. Then coming down on the sides of the rib cage underneath the arms, awakening the body, and down to the sides of the waist, in between the ribs and the hips. And coming up to the breastbone. How much of a pat or a tap or a drum do you want here? Opening up all the little sacs of the lungs. And coming down to the area between the low ribs, the solar plexus, the stomach, the liver area, down to the belly button, maybe feeling the vibrations even back into the kidneys at the back of the waist, and down to the lower abdominal area, the intestines, the reproductive organs. Then bringing one hand to the front of the waist, one to the back of the waist. Because we're doing the back line today, particular attention to that tapping of the kidney area and the adrenal glands, the back of the waist. Then coming down to the lower abdomen, back hand, giving a good tap to the sacrum, tailbone area. And slowly, gradually letting things unwind. Standing for just a moment. Allowing the body to soften and feel. What has awakened. Maybe with the breath, allowing that awakening to journey into other parts of the body. Then bringing hands back behind the waist. Let's rub the kidneys, rub down onto the sacrum, the kidney area, adrenal glands there that can pick up our stress very quickly. And then up a little bit along the spine, just as you are able. Then we're going to rub over the buttocks, come down the back of the legs, rub up the inner legs, come up over the abdomen around the belt line, rub just a moment, back down, awakening the bladder meridian in Chinese medicine and the kidney meridian. One more time. Hands come down along the sides. Feet, again, are a little bit wider than hip width apart. Knees bend, hips come back, arms swing back slightly, and hands come up in front of the chest, opening through the fingers and the palms, bringing the intention of awakening to the wrists and the elbows as hands reach a little farther up. At the same time, the non-doing of the coming down. So giving that also some room in your body, the stretching up and the sinking down. The connection between arms and pelvic bowl. Connection between crown and the bottom of the feet. Between the fingers as they reach up and the toes as they reach down. Connecting all the parts of the body so we can be an integrated whole. An option to come up on the toes, raise the heels slightly, if that feels right for you. Whole body opening. 2 more times. And coming back to neutral. Bring the feet so that they are under the hips now. Let the shoulders come up to the ears. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, an important part of our back line. And then bringing them out wide and up and together again. And the lungs also getting a little massage here, as well as our ribs, shoulders opening a bit. Bring the shoulders up to the ears, and then very gently relaxing, relaxing down. Pausing for a moment in that relaxation, letting it run down through pelvic floor, down through the arches. Maybe wiggle the toes. And bringing our hands together, interlacing and turning the hands in a figure 8. 4, 3, 2, 1. Then undo and bring the other forefinger on top differently than you had before. And if you can lead with the non-dominant hand, just to shake it up a little bit. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring your hands to the hips, feet come a little wider. Start a slow hip circle, going round the clock, touching 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. Awakening this middle part of the body, this core of our being, and letting that run up through the heart, into the neck, and round the opposite direction. Awakening down through thighs, behind the knees and the calves. One more time round. Bring the feet together tightly, knees together, hands on top of the, above the knees on the thighs, circling the knees for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and back around the opposite direction. And then coming up, bring the weight into one foot, hands on the hips, Other foot comes back behind and turn on the toes, aware of the muscles on the sides of the hips, little strength through the inner thigh, little squeeze in the glutes, and back around the opposite direction with the toes. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring your weight into the other foot. Find your balance and your strength as the toe comes back for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back around the opposite direction. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming into a mountain pose, settling for a moment. Raise the chin, stretch through the throat, bring the neck back down. Rise up with the chin and bring it back down. As we rise, we're using muscles in the back of our neck that they're short muscles at various angles, stretching from under the low skull down to the first and second vertebrae. So you might bring your fingers back there right now. As you place your fingers under the occiput, under the bottom of the skull, close to the spine, take a moment to make your eyes go to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, and see if you feel anything in those little muscles where you have your fingers. Then bring your eyes up and down, up and down. Then a diagonal across from top diagonal to lower, and then the other direction, diagonal. And be aware of how sensitive those little muscles are. So those muscles are active in all sorts of ways. They're called low threshold muscles in the sense that any lack of safety that we feel, any insecurity, will suddenly alert those muscles. Even if it's something, of course, that happened to us 50 years ago, something might trigger that through our eyes, and that gets communicated to those muscles back there. We use them when we lift our chin. We use them when we rotate our head. So now if I go over to this side, I'm using the suboccipital muscles to turn my head. If I turn to this side, I'm using them to turn this way. Try relaxing them. And it forces you to relax all the fascia around your skull and your face. Now, as a contrast, let's fire them up with an ujjayi breath. Inhaling, and as you exhale through the nose with a sound in the back of your throat as if you're fogging a mirror. Your fingers might come up to those muscles again and feel them turn on as you breathe out hard through the back of the throat, as if you're fogging the mirror. Then releasing the ujjayi breath, once again, relax those muscles. So our intentionality can go in a number of different directions, but two important directions in yoga are to turn the muscles on, use them well, and then let them relax, particularly these muscles that turn on at the slightest stress. There's a continuity of muscles for the back line that comes down through those suboccipital muscles, down through the 3 muscles that run down on either side of the spine, the erector spinae group, and then they come down into the mid sacrum, and there are ligaments there that go across to our sits bones. Those connect with our hamstrings down into our calves and all the way down around into our plantar fascia on the bottom of our feet. So the bottom of our feet are connected to our necks. If you have something with your wrong with your neck, you might look at your plantar fascia. If something's wrong with your plantar fascia, it might be some tension up here in your neck. So connected. Let's bring our hands to our chest, palms together. Open up in the front of the body. Come down. Hips come out and back. Cross the arms. Come up, fountain up. Bringing the intention of effort and welling up as the water splashes up, and the intention of quiet and dropping. No effort as you come down. One last time. Let's bring our attention to the plantar fasciae down there on the bottom of our feet that are part of our back line. One of the ways to keep those springy is to come up on your tiptoes. So feet right under the hips, long through the spine, coming up on tiptoes, just as far as is comfortable for you. And we'll add what's called a wispy breath to that. Bring the hands up, out as you're up on the tiptoes, and then come down with the heels. Inhale up, out, and sink down. Inhale up, and down. 2 more times. Now we're going to be the naughty monkey that steals the earth chi. Reach down, get some earth chi, bring it up under your neck, elbows wide, up on your toes, look around. Did I get away with it? I did. And bring it down. Here's a lesson in intentionality, right? Bring up the earth chi. Lots of stress as you take that earth chi, and then you think you got away with it, bring it down. And one more time. Get up the earth chi, up on the toes, look around, and relax down. Those plantar fascia, we want to keep them springy. So let's just jump up and down a little bit. Just a little jump, bringing springiness to the plantar fascia. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, and 1. Then stomping a bit, crossing the arms, one leg comes down, stomps. One more time. Coming into mountain. One hand on chest and one hand on belly. Just enjoying the aliveness of the body. It's all warmed up, it's ready. Our attention is here. We're in this present moment of the body. I'd like to bring some attention to this length between the tailbone and the sacrum and the middle torso. So that can vary according to the person, according to our habits. It might be long, so you might bring one hand to each and lengthen it. This often happens when you're driving or at a computer. And then shortening it, noticing that the front of your hips come out. Neither one of these, of course, are the ideal position. And we tend to have habits towards one or the other. So what we want to find here is the middle ground. Where can you be neutral with the natural curves of the sacrum up through the lumbar spine and the thoracic spine? Keep some length there, just the right amount. This is a vulnerable area, but what we want to have is a long spine and a strong core. If you have a block that you can bring between your thighs right now, do that. If you don't have a block, no worries. You can do it just with your thighs. If you have a pillow or something, that's fine too. We're going to be doing some things that we've talked about before, but that are definitely part of the back line stabilization. As you inhale, exhale, and internally rotate your inner thighs. If you have a block, you're going to be reaching that block back. Inhale, exhale, as you squeeze the sits bones together and engage the glutes. So that, try it again. Inhale, turn the block back, inner thighs in, and you'll notice that your tailbone kind of floats out. Then when you squeeze the sits bones together and engage the glutes, you'll notice that the tailbone kind of comes back in. So go back and forth in between those motions. Notice how the bottom of the pelvic bowl goes back and forth, the top of the hips move. Can you find that relationship that allows both to be engaged and balance each other so that it brings strength to this lower back area? This connects the lumbar spine up through the core and strengthens the low back. Now inhale, lengthen up through the waist and the ribs and press the feet down. As you exhale, let it be a big exhale. Inhale once again, lengthening up. And as you exhale, let the waist narrow, the chin drop, the neck pull away from the deep center. Once again, finding that inner turn through the inner thighs, the balancing of the squeezing of the sits bones together, the breathing up through the waist, the exhaling down as the crown reaches up, the feet relax down, the waist narrows. And then keeping that sense, bring the hands together to the heart. One hand reaches up towards the sky. Maybe you feel the moisture of the clouds up there. Back to the heart. And the lower one reaching down to the solidity of the earth. Feeling the stability of the low back as you stand strong, connected to the earth, and the lightness of the top of the body reaching towards the sky. One last time. Now removing, if you have block or pillow in between your thighs. Inhale as hands come up. Inhale, arms out. Exhale, overhead. Inhale, back around the head. And come down, exhale down. The back of the legs, as we did before, hovering the hands, not bringing the hands onto the skin, just hovering them above the skin. Inhale up, exhale, arms wide. Inhale overhead, exhale without touching the hair, coming behind the head without touching the chest, over the chest, and then exhaling down, hovering the hand down the back, up the inner legs, up the chest. Exhale out, inhale up, exhale back of head, inhale front, exhale down. This is called the microcosmic orbit. Inhaling all the way up, exhale wide, inhale up, exhale head, inhale front, exhale down. Last time. This time come all the way up, and then bring the hips out in the back, knees bend, hands come down. Keep the palms down as they sweep up and the body rises. Inhale, arms overhead. Once again, exhale, back of head. Inhale, torso. This time we're going to exhale as hands go down the sides of the legs, hovering above the skin. That's the gallbladder meridian. And then once again, hips out to back, and then lifting up with palms down. Back of head, front of torso, down the sides of the legs, hips out and back, knees bend, lifting up. This is called the macrocosmic orbit. Bending knees, hips down, palms down as you reach up. One last time. Bringing the micro body together with the macro universe. And coming up. And reaching out with your fingertips as you come down. Now, another way to stabilize the lower back is to bring a balance between the ribs in front and the shoulder blades in the back. Often the back body is locked long because of our daily activities of phones and sitting in chairs in general. Let's inhale through the ribs. Exhale, tuck the front ribs back into the upper belly. Inhale the shoulders up. Release down, let the lower tips of the shoulder blades come down and push forward into the back ribs. Once again, inhale into the ribs. As you exhale, push the front lower ribs back into the upper belly. Inhale, shoulders up. Release down with an exhale, lower tips of shoulder blades pushing forward into the back ribs. So again, we have this balance between the pressure of the front ribs coming in towards the belly and the lower tips of the shoulder blades coming in towards the ribs, bringing strength and stability to this part of the body. So you notice we need to bring stability here in our lower pelvic bowl, and we need to bring stability here in our mid-torso area because there's this vulnerability in the back line along the lower back, which we often see when we go to the PT, right? Okay, so let's find those balances in both of those places. Turning internally, rotating through the inner thighs, squeezing the sits bones together, finding a balance there where both of them can be just slightly alive. And then finding that balance between the front ribs pulling in and the shoulder blades at the bottom pulling down and in. So finding stability both those places, then bending the knees, hips come out in the back, and arms reach forward. So of course the sits bones are changing their relationship a little bit as you bring the hips back. They're coming apart, but then you're bringing them back together for that stable back line as you come up. Now let's hold down here for a moment. 3, 2, and 1, and come back up. Bring the feet just slightly wider than hip width apart, and we'll become martial artists here for a moment. Crossing the hands in front of the heart, imagining you have a bow and arrow, bringing the string of the bow back, elbow goes back, and other hand pushes the bow forward and gaze goes in that direction. Inhale, center, exhale, out. Feeling the alert readiness of the martial artist. Feeling the stability between the front ribs and the lower shoulder blades. The strength of legs and the core of the body around the belly. At any moment, an attack may come. And not knowing brings your attention right here into the present moment. What is your intention with your arrow? What is needed to find the world that you want. One last time. And coming through center, bring the feet back so that they are under the hips once again. We're going to come into a balance. Once again, finding that relationship between the inner thigh rotation in, the sits bone squeeze, the front ribs, and the shoulder blades. So you're really strong. Find your foundation leg. Raise the other knee up a few times. Option to just keep it up or going up and down, or give that knee a hug, keeping that stability in both of those areas of the mid-torso and the hip area. And come down, finding that same stability on the other side, lifting the knee long through the spine. Perhaps giving the knee a hug. And bring it down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, down. Bring the hands very close, rubbing the shins and the thighs as you come up for support for the back. The little ligaments that go among the vertebrae can be stretched and weakened by too much of a forward fold that puts too much stretch into them. One way to deal with this is to bring your hands up overhead, then bring your hands to your heart. Come into a back bend just from the heart up, a back bend from the heart up, if you can imagine that. Then knees bend, hips come out to the back, and come over and hips come up. As you come up, hips come down, hands come to the thighs, and rise up. So this is an alternative way to be very kind to the vertebrae and the ligaments between them. Arms come up, then down to back bend. From the heart up, bend knees, hips come back. And as you come down, hips can rise up. Let's walk over to one side. A little stretch across the middle. Walk over to the other side. And then back towards middle, bending the knees. This time hands might come wide. Let gaze and heart be forward as you come up. And bring the hands down. We're going to come to a sitting position for a few moments here. And once you get there, bring your hands back behind. We're going to do a windshield wiper. Just bringing some hydration to the synovial fluid in our hip joints. Coming into this present moment. And giving it the direction it deserves. Coming round. And I often say, turn around with abandon. And yes, we do turn around with abandon. At the same time, aware of the stability that's needed between the ribs and the shoulder blades through the core of the body. And coming down in a full body twist. Relaxing down into the earth, our wild mother. Inhale up, over, around to the other side. Bowing down once again. Inhale back up. Bring the soles of the feet together. Hands can come to the knees. Just gently opening up. Not coming to your full range of opening. Now pulling those soles still together to the extent it works for knees, bringing them back towards the groin. Your hands might be on shins or ankles, feet, or around the toes. Bring your attention once again to those lower front ribs, and on an exhale, tuck them in, pressing back into the belly. And same with the back, shoulder blades, pressing into the ribs in the back. So getting that stability there, long through the tailbone, goes straight down into the earth, lifting up through the abdominal muscles somewhat. Inhale and exhale, forward 3 or 4 inches or 1 inch, back and forth a few times, keeping the natural curves of the back, staying long in the back with that stability. Always with the caution of not putting too much load on the lower back. Now we're going to come in to the option of cow legs, which is where you bring one under. Let's bring the left under and the right on top. That's not possible for everybody because of hips and knees. So if one leg comes out straight, that's fine. If both come out straight, that's also fine. And each side will be different. So find your version of cow legs, since we're not cows anyway. One arm comes up overhead. Let's let it be the left arm. We have our right foot over. The left arm, comes up straight. And then exhale it into cactus arm. So half a cactus. Inhale. Exhale, firm up the belly. Send those ribs in towards the belly. Hold that. And then rotate round. Gaze going back and shoulder and top of the rib cage going back. Now take the lower half of the shoulder blade on that side, the left side, and press it into the ribs. It'll go in towards the spine a bit. Holding, breathe 2 times. And keep the front ribs from thrusting out. And turn back. Then we'll find cow legs on the other side. My cow legs don't work as well on this side. I'll keep one leg extended. Now right arm comes up and into cactus. Inhale. As you exhale, bring the front ribs in. Inhale. And as you exhale, rotate back, bringing the lower half of the shoulder blade in towards the ribs in the back and in towards the spine. And breathing 2 times here. Keeping watch on those front ribs. And turn back. Now let's come into a tabletop position. Finding our hands underneath our shoulders and our knees under the hips. Long through the spine. Neutral hips. Then sinking down a bit, aware of not overstretching the ligaments in the front of the spine, and lifting up through the oblique side muscles at the waist, pulling the spine up, the mid-spine up, reaching back through pubic bone, forward through collarbone, and then up. So a strong stretch, but a measured stretch that is always fundamentally concerned with length and strength and stability in the spine. One more time. and find your way back to neutral. Let's come down into a prone position. So all of what we've been talking about here points to the continuity within the body. All muscles working together in a back line and a side line now as we do a cobra. So bringing the hands under the shoulders, elbows are bent along the body. Press the feet down into the mat, hover the knees, and turn in a little bit through the inner thighs. Squeeze the glutes, or squeeze the shoulder, the sits bones together, and then lifting up. So here, you're not bringing all of the load into the lower back, rather you're distributing it all the way from the feet up through the legs, the hips area into the lower back. Bring it down for a moment. Again, press into the feet, hover the legs, strengthen through that sits bone and inner thigh area. Open the arms, palms out, thumbs up. The erector spinae, those long muscles along each side of the spine, are just happy because they have all this help from the rest of the body. For 3, 2, and 1. Now as you come back down, keep the legs at about hip width. Interlace the fingers at below the buttocks in the back. This will be the inhale. As we exhale, we'll bend the feet, the knees, and the hands will come up behind the waist, and we'll breathe out 3 times and wave the feet forward. Ha, ha, ha. Inhale long, a little lift in the front. Exhale, ha, ha, ha. Inhale long, ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. One more time. Ha, ha, ha. So that's a Pilates exercise to bring some strength to those hamstring muscles. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, press, tuck the toes, raise the hips, and come up into downward dog. Let the knees be soft, long through arms, long through sides, sits bones reaching back. Knees are soft, long, long through the spine. Then bringing the heels down slightly, paddling the feet a little bit, feeling perhaps some awakening in the calves. And coming up on tiptoes, giving some added springiness to the plantar fascia as the heels slowly rise and sink. One more time. Bringing the weight forward into a plank. Knees might be down, knees up. For 3, 2, and 1. Elbows in, knees down. A slight baby cobra. Back up into a downward dog. Check for a moment that you don't have any back bend through the back of the waist. No hinging there at the back of the waist in your downward dog. That would bring compression into the vertebrae and into the kidney area that needs blood to be flowing through it. And with that thought, let's walk the feet forward and walk the hands back. Bend the knees, open the arms, and come up. Before we end here, we're going to become martial artists once again. Feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart. Pause for a moment as knees bend slightly, toes are forward. These hips come out in the back. Imagine that you are holding a ball of energy in front of your pelvic bowl. Perhaps it's an extension of that strong, subtle energy that lives in our pelvic bowl, meeting the energy that flows around us, the fields of energy all around us that we're hardly aware of. Coming in around the earth from all corners of this unknown universe. Not knowing brings our attention fully into the present. Breathing here. Then letting the fists come down onto the thighs. As we inhale, imagine we're drinking up the earth energy through the bottom of the feet, up through the legs, through the fists, up into the kidney area, and then let it come down. Bring arms up behind, hands come down, assuring the head and the heart and the upper belly that it can be relaxed here. The foundation, the core of the body has got their back. Bringing the fists down to the thighs once again, sucking up through pelvic floor, up through legs, into the kidneys, even bringing that up through the back of the throat, lifting up the back of the throat perhaps. And exhaling, palms down, relaxing down through the feet. Inhale, arms up and around. Lightening the top of the body. Intentionality of softness and gentleness in the top of the body. And now intentionality of determination as we sup up that energy from the earth, bottom of the feet alive, the pelvic floor, the kidneys, up through the back of the throat, holding. And exhale, palms open, relaxing down through the legs and the feet. Inhale up, smooth out head and heart. Let them be right here in this moment. Then coming into the intense intentionality as you drink up from the earth. And exhale, smooth that down, back into the earth. One more time. Inhale up. Let head, neck, torso settle, all the organs assured. Then bringing the intentionality of strong direction and exhaling down, letting everything settle down. And for a moment coming back to that subtle energy held in the palms of the hands and the elbows, coming round into pelvic bowl. Allowing the intention of the pelvic bowl open, knowing its place in the world, without inside or outside. Breathing deeply. And then straightening the legs. Let's come down to a lying position. Bring your intention of gentle surrender into this Shavasana. Heels, calves, buttocks sinking into the earth. Shoulder blades comfortably descending down. The earth like a pillow right now. Arms, hands, and the back of the head. Stretch long through the back of the neck. Crown rises and relax down with a heavy head so that those little muscles underneath the back of the skull can become very relaxed. Bringing that relaxation down into the inner abdomen, the psoas muscles that go from the top of the thigh bones up to the lumbar spine, up to the diaphragm area. Those also are low threshold muscles, easily aroused and stressed. So allowing that softness behind the neck to share the sinking, relaxing, unsqueezing with the psoas muscles in the very inner abdomen. Letting the breath be your ambassador of softness. We'll take about 7 breaths here. If you're coming back into your day, move any way that you would like to. Maybe giving your knees a hug. Maybe coming into a bit of a happy baby, or stretching the legs, whatever appeals to the body that you inhabit. And if you're not coming right back into your day, please continue to relax and soften, bringing the intentionality of gentleness that will ready you for your determined intention in the world. If you're coming up, rolling over to a sitting position, may we bring attention to this present moment, giving direction towards the kind of world that we want. Namaste.
Thank you.
Good to practice with you all.